evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Four Train Express. I'm your boy, the Four Train Express. I'm joined tonight by my co-host NFE, Chris the Flash from Flash Sports, and Dane Huber of NYYU. Guys, welcome and thank you guys for joining me. Before we get into you guys, let's just give a quick shout out to the chat. We've got JJ, we've got Aiden. We've got Stephen B. We have Jonathan, as always. We've got, let's see, who else we got? We've got Brandon Moore. We've got Hayden. We've got Donald. We've got everyone here tonight. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's should be a good time, good episode. Tim King of Jordan's welcome. Hayden, Mike Perez, NFE, Chris, Dane. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling?
Waiting for the Yankees to make another move.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks.
Exactly.
Right.
For their next
Hopefully
move.
we can break some Hector Neris news tonight
Yeah, that'd be nice.
because they are supposedly the favorites, or they've been reported by Bob Nightingale and multiple sources that they are the favorites to land Hector Neris, which would be a major blow to Houston for the simple fact that he was their best reliever last year. He was their most consistent reliever. And to be fair, he was also their most dominating reliever, as well as on top of all the consistency. So that is something to think about. So as we move on, we are hoping we can break that tonight, but that's the latest as of now and what I've heard. I don't know if you've heard anything different, but that's what I have heard. Hopefully that gets done tonight, so we can break that right here for all of you guys. So, NFE, how are you feeling so far?
As far as the offseason goes, or
In general
about the Yankees?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel good. I feel good. I know there's some people that are voicing their concern over them not addressing certain players. You know, a lot of people want them to go out and sign Blake Snell, which obviously I would welcome that, but I did like the Marcus Stroman signing. You know, it did grow on me a little bit. I know some fans were, including myself, were complaining about his attitude and his ego kind of being a little loud, but I think he'll help the rotation. I mean, when he's healthy, he's on. You know, he pitches well, and like I said, and they got him on a team-friendly deal. Like this was something that we were talking about. I mean, he opted out with the Cubs for $21 million, and you know he's getting paid less now. But he wanted to come to the Yankees. That's the thing. So you know, if he wanted to come play for the Yankees, then you know why not? And the Yankees are not wasting any time. And that's the other thing, you know, they made an initial offer to Blake Snell, and you know, 150 for 5 years, which I thought was reasonable. But you know, again, it's not like they were just waiting on him to make a decision. They just said, you know what, we need to continue making moves. And like I said, so far I've been happy with all the moves that they've made. You know, they've added a lot of depth to the team, which is something that they lacked a year ago. So I think adding Hector Neris would solidify their bullpen. I think I would put him in the closer role over Clay Holmes 100%. So hopefully they do sign Hector Neris, and if they, I think a trade is inevitable. They are going to make a trade with who I don't know. I mean, we've talked about a few teams, but it just seems like the Marlins and the Mariners make the most sense. You know, those are the two teams that we keep going back to. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I think a trade is inevitable. They have too many guys on their roster right now, so they have an influx of infielders, and they have way too many catchers right now. So,
I agree.
They're not done by no means. Are they done? Like they are not done. There's still moves to be done.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Dane, Chris, what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna have to give a shout out to Kev from BX, because he's actually the first person to say Stroman to the Yankees.
Yeah.
A
Shout
while
out to
back. Yeah, a while back. He called it I think when Stroman 3 years ago, Stroman said he wanted to be a Yankee and Cash said he don't think he was a difference maker. You also have to realize when he said that our defense is trash. So he's a ground ball pitcher, right?
yeah.
Our infield wasn't that good like those 3 years ago. So I can't blame Cashman for not signing Stroman or trading for him back then. Now that our defense is a little bit better, it makes
Yeah.
more sense now.
Absolutely. Dane?
I originally did not like the Stroman signing at all, but knowing that he took less money because he wanted to play here won me over a little bit. Knowing that he's a New York guy, he knows what he's stepping into. He's stepping into the Lions' den. It takes balls to do that because he has to perform or he's going to get absolutely killed. So I appreciate that from him. Do I think he was the best option? No, but it is what it is on the market right now. There's just not much available that was a lot better than him. I mean, Boris is asking for 8 240.
I heard
Greg, how are you?
How's
What's
it going,
up,
Greg?
man? How's it
The
going,
last
guys?
I heard,
What's
it was
up?
9 for 275.
Yeah, there was a report today for 8 for 240. So that's not going to happen from the Yankees, at least.
No. Not
I would
gonna
pass
And-
on that immediately. Sorry.
I'm not sure that they make another trade as much as they'll just DFA a couple guys. They have quite a few guys like Jeter Downs and some of the older bullpen arms that they can just cut. I mean, they picked up quite a few guys. There's room to cut some guys.
Yeah.
I think they do trade one catcher, either Rortvet or Narvaez. I don't know which one, but I think they'll keep 4 catchers on the 40-man, but not 5.
Mhm.
And hopefully, I like the idea of getting Hector for the bullpen.
Yeah.
He would be a solid addition. The other guy I would look at would be David Robertson.
Now I've been screaming out Hector Neris's name for a good amount of time now. And the fact that they're taking a look at him and actually are serious about, possibly landing him shows that they're serious about improving in any way, shape, or form that they can. Greg, I want to throw it to you. What do you think of how are you feeling in general over the whole Yankees team with the Stroman signing and, the chance that the Yankees are possibly could land Hector Neris within the next couple of days or so, knowing that they're the favorites?
So I think they've done a good job this offseason so far, and they're a better team today than they were last year, 100%, no question about it. What was I thrilled about the Stroman signing? I can't say that I was thrilled, but he's a solid rotation piece, and he's not Snell, he's not Yamamoto, but he's a guy who can get on the hill. He can give you innings, and he's going to probably get you a sub-4 ERA. Those guys are few and far between in the MLB. So I think overall it was a good signing. There still are guys on the market. There's still the trade market, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Steven, just to correct you on that, it is not the Dodgers. It is actually the Rangers and the Yankees that it is down to. So just putting that out there. So my thinking is whoever doesn't get Neris is going to pivot immediately to Robert Stevenson because he's the next best reliever out on the market right now next to David Robertson and after Hector Neris. But I just want to talk about what some of the beat writers have been saying. And they're calling us desperate. Now, I don't agree with that at all. Because if the Yankees were desperate, they would have given up Spencer Jones already for Dylan Cease. They would have given up Spencer Jones for Jesus Luzardo or another couple top prospects for Jesus Luzardo. They would have signed Snell already to a 9-year deal. That's desperation. That's not what the Yankees did. The Yankees were calculated, they were creative, and they were very smart with how they allocated their money. They have spent less than the Dodgers and have filled more holes than the Dodgers have this offseason. The Dodgers have spent over $1 billion on players this offseason between Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and the extension for Glasnow, I should say. And they still have holes to fill. They still have 2 corner outfield positions that they got to fix, because Mookie is now supposedly going to be playing second base for them. They've got back end of the bullpen issues that they've got to figure out, because they don't have that bridge to Kelly. That's a solid bridge. They also have questions in that starting rotation still, with Glasnow's arm being made of glass, and then not knowing what Miller's going to give them, what Bueller's going to give them. Bueller just got off of surgery and is getting off the couch. So they've got a lot more holes to fill, and they've spent almost 10 times the amount of money that the Yankees have. And the Yankees have filled more of their holes this offseason than the Dodgers have after spending all that money. What are your thoughts on this? Anyone can kick it off.
Go for it, thing.
I'm not worried about what the Dodgers are doing. They're in the National League, and it really doesn't matter to me until the World Series. As far as what the Yankees did with Stroman, that wasn't a desperate move, in my opinion. That was a calculated move, because it's a short-term deal that they can get out of. That's a tradable contract next year if they want to.
Yes, it is.
Where you're not going to be able to trade Yamamoto's contract or Ohtani's contract or anything like that. But the Yankees still have moves that they need to do if they want to get into that World Series contender level team. And I don't know if they're going to do that now or if they're going to wait till the deadline. I think they're going to wait more to the deadline and see how things pan out. But that's just my opinion.
Greg, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
I think, look, if I could have one off season, either the Dodgers off season or the Yankees off season right now, I'd say it would be a tough call. I mean, we got Soto, they got Yamamoto, we got Verdugo, they got Ohtani. I think if I had to pick, I'd say I'd rather have their off season. Overall, I think their team has made more upgrades than the Yankees in terms of star power. But the Yankees did get better. And again, like Dane alluded to, there's what happens in the National League doesn't matter as much for the Yankees. It's not like the Red Sox got that much better. It's Dodgers. They're across the country and in the opposite league. So I think overall, the Yankees have done a great job this offseason. They've greatly improved. They're, in my opinion, a playoff team based on what they've already done, and I don't think they're done. And as far as the Stroman move being desperation, I could not disagree with that more. It was a good move, and again, was it the exciting move that I was hoping for? No, but it was a good move and made the team better, and certainly not out of desperation. Before they even signed him, again, they were already a playoff team, in my opinion. And they made themselves even a little bit better. So they were not acting from a place of desperation. They were acting from a place of trying to improve their team.
Anafee?
Yeah. So I'm going to voice what everybody else was saying. The Stroman signing was not a desperation move. It was a calculated move. Every move that they made this offseason, it's been calculated. They've been very active this offseason. And, I have no complaints about what they have done. As far as the Dodgers go, like Dan and Greg said, they're in the National League, they're across the country. So, it's not like we have to worry about them. We only have to worry about them in the World Series if those two teams even face each other, because, we don't even know. the Dodgers added a bunch of players. I mean, great players, right? So they added some necessary pieces, and they still have to add some other pieces. But they've been very active this offseason. They have spent a lot of money this offseason. We can't deny that. So they did very well in terms of that. But again, in the game of baseball, you don't know what's going to happen, right? I keep talking about this. Like this past postseason, we saw. Most of us probably thought the Braves were going to win the World Series, right? I don't know about you guys. I did. I thought they were going to win the World Series. Okay,
I had the Orioles Braves World Series.
Okay, so did I. And Chris and Greg, I don't know where you guys were as far as your picks for the World Series.
No, the Braves.
Yeah, the Braves. Okay. You thought who?
I thought the Astros were gonna do it again.
Okay. All right, cool. So you thought the Astros. Guess what? Were any of us right? No, we weren't.
Oh,
no.
So, yeah, not by a long shot. And it ended up being the freaking Texas Rangers and the Diamondbacks going to the World Series, and the Rangers went and won the whole freaking thing. So, again, kudos to the Dodgers for what they did. They added some players. I mean, they added some pieces to their team, but nothing is guaranteed in this sport. So, we'll see what happens. But as far as the Yankees go, they're much better than they were a year ago, and they're definitely going to be contenders in the division. I mean, they'll compete well against the Orioles and the Rays. I mean, the Sox. I don't think the Red Sox are going to even be contenders this year. It'll be a little while for them to get back to being the Red Sox. But from what I read about them, they're trying to be like a small market team. But Yankees are in a good position, and I think I'm hoping for a Hector Neris signing, and then hopefully I think we'll see another trade. Again, I think we'll see another trade. Not a big one, but another trade is coming. I think if they do a big trade, I would say probably the deadline would be my guess if they were to make one.
Well, let me flip this, because Beat Writers say we're desperate because we signed Stroman. Don't you think it's a little desperate to trade for a pitcher that's arm is about to fall off? Don't you think it's desperate to sign a pitcher that hasn't pitched in the major league yet to get that type of deal? Like, I like how when the Yankees make a move, we're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Dodgers spend over $1 billion, oh man, they're the best team. They're gonna win the World Series, this and that. But we're desperate because we signed Stroman.
Yeah,
from Snell because we didn't want to pay him what he wanted.
No, and Boris, I'm telling you right now, Boris, you're not getting that for Snell. I'm sorry, ain't no team paying them 8 years, 9 years for what, 240, 250? No.
Nope.
Yeah, I think you make a great point about the Dodgers moves, and I think one of the things that went very much underappreciated when they were making those moves is both of those moves were very risky at the length of the contract that they signed those guys for and the money they gave out. They're going to be paying Ohtani, 20 years from now? They're going to be paying this guy. And, his arm could fall off tomorrow. I mean, he's already on his second surgery, and, he's not going to pitch this year. He may not come back the same pitcher, as we've seen with other guys who are frequently injured. So that's risky. Yamamoto's never thrown a pitch in the United States. I think he's going to be great, but nobody knows for sure until he actually steps foot here. And also, he's small. I mean, I said this to Dane a couple of weeks ago. He's like Dane. Who was the guy I compared him to from the Giants? Tim Lincecum.
Yeah.
What if he's Tim Lincecum 2.0? I mean, Tim Lincecum at the same age as Yamamoto was a fireballer, but if his arm stopped working like it normally does in a couple of years, like Lincecum, you're going to be in trouble with that contract. So risky moves, and I think that went underappreciated.
And I just want to add something to this. And Greg, you brought up a great point about Ohtani's deal. I said from the very beginning, it didn't matter if they paid him $2 million for 10 years and then 68 for the next 10 after that, or they paid him 70 for the entire 10. 700 million is 700 million. You're not getting around that. Deferrals are not. Because at the end of the day, if you're paying him 20 million now, you still owe him another 680 million. So let's get one thing clear here. That's a lot of money to be tied up into one guy for 10 years after the guy's playing career is done.
And I wanted to say this too, because I said it on Kev's stream, and I'm happy somebody brought this up when NFE interviewed Scott Braun. That doesn't mean because Ohtani got paid 700 that he actually got paid 700. So people got in their head, oh, Soto's gonna get paid just as much as him. No, I'm happy somebody brought it up because Scott Braun said no, that's deferred money. His actual contract is 400 and something million. So I'm happy somebody brought that up. Yeah, because Soto's gonna get this much. I'm saying right now, Soto is not getting no deferred money because Scott Boras is not doing that.
Nope. He is
no way.
Speaking of Scott Boras, so I loved what you said about Snell too. There's what you ask for, and then there's what you get. And Boras is famous for asking for the world and settling on what he wanted to begin with. So he's asking for 240. He's not going to get 240. He knows it, and it's part of the negotiation. That being said, the Yankees offered 150. Price is bound to come down. Who knows? Maybe the Yankees are going to still be in when it comes back down. Maybe not. But I think there are still options on the market, and who knows what they're going to do.
My one concern about them going out and signing Snell is whatever they pay him is actually going to cost them double because they're over the 300 million mark.
Mm-hmm.
So they get taxed $1 for every dollar they spend now. Or do we really see him spending $60 million a year on Snell?
No. What I see them doing, and Jason, I want to give Jason of 161 River Ave a shout out for this because he brought this up. But for what it's worth, the Yankees, signing Stroman takes him out of that Snell running, but it doesn't take him out of a trade. And he brought this up a couple of days ago, I think it was, and he said that he has been hearing Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been hearing that the Mariners and the Yankees are in talks about a trade revolving around Gleyber Torres for one of their young starters.
That is true.
That I can see them doing, whether it be a Brian Wu, a Bryce Miller, a Logan Gilbert, a George Kerr, whoever it might be, they are still
Emerson Hancock.
Is it?
That's who the Mariners want to give up. They don't want to give up any of the guys that have been in the major leagues yet. So, and
there you go. So, but thank you, Jason. It is all preliminary right now, but there are still talks, which means NFE. When the Soto thing was going on, what did I say? When there's smoke, there's fire. If there's any life to it, there is fire.
Yeah,
so,
and this could be it with the Yankees and the Mariners. They had preliminary talks, like Jason said, but a trade might be incoming for all we know. But the Yankees stay quiet though, so it's not like they give out any clues.
Yeah, I got that information from Seattle source, not the Yankee source. So they've been talking. Those two teams have been talking since last deadline. So if something happens, they've been working on it for a while.
So, and that's the other thing is, here's what I see. I see the Yankees getting theirs. I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to not get him.
Hirsch.
Because they've been, from the very get-go, from the second that I believe it was Jason who reported it, right, have been all in on getting a reliever. They've been making small reliever moves to help bolster that bullpen. And now they get a guy like this. I see them getting Nearest, and then I see them making a deal with Seattle. involving Torres. What do you guys see, and where do you see this going?
I like the Hector Norris move. I would welcome that because it gives you another option to close if Clay Holmes goes back to his up and down performance that he had last year. He's an older guy, but he comes with a lot of fire and passion on the mound, which I think the Yankees sorely need.
Yep.
He would give them some flair, some attitude in that. As far as Torres, I'm not sure what they're going to do there. I think one of Torres or Peraza goes. I'm not sure which one, but I can't see them keeping all those infielders right now. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah. I'm going to just bring this comment up, and then Greg, I want your thoughts on that, and then we'll go around the table and talk about this comment. But what do you think? What do you see?
So with as far as what I see happening, that's the one thing Dane always knows about me is I don't even speculate. I don't have any sources. I don't know what's going to happen when and who's going to get signed. I'll say this: I don't like the idea of the Yankees spending money on their bullpen. I know everyone's crazy over Hector Neris, and if you're going to sign somebody, he's a great guy to sign. I just think that the Yankees have done such a nice job with their bullpen over the years. Matt Blake has been awesome. He's turned guys from, he's turned guy after guy from an afterthought into, a great bullpen piece, so, Ian Hamilton, Holmes, all those guys. And I hate to see them spend money on that instead of spending money where they have other needs like the starting rotation. The other thing I'd say is with regards to the Gleyber Torres idea, I'd really hate to see him go. I think that their lineup is pretty darn good right now without him in it. I don't think they have a lot of depth in that lineup. I don't think that lineup goes 7 deep without Gleyber Torres in it. So I hate to see him go. If it's the right pitcher, I think it makes sense, then go for it. But I don't think Peraza is ready to replace him, at least not, in terms of offensive productivity. Maybe he's a better defender and he'll give them value that way. But I think they need bullets in the lineup personally.
I'm starting to lean that way myself, that they would keep Torres. But again, I don't know.
Maybe they give him Peraza?
Maybe.
But I mean, I'm not just trying to speculate, but
Peraza would make more sense for Seattle because they are in a TV deal problem, at least the money end of it, and they're not really trying to take on money. So Torres is going to make 14.2, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Peraza is going to make $1 million. And
So
maybe
that's an easy
Peraza and
move.
all the control, maybe that talks him into giving up a Brian Wu.
maybe it's Peraza and Pereira, because we don't have any room for Pereira.
No, we don't.
And if you Chris, what do you think about that? What do you think happens?
I mean, I'm probably gonna agree with Dane and Greg. Like, I wouldn't want to trade Torres, especially for a pitcher that's still in the minors. I mean, we need pitching help right now that's in the majors. So I'm not gonna trade Torres for a pitcher that's still in the minors. And this is Torres' walk year. I kind of want to see how the offense is gonna be with him and Soto. Usually when somebody have a walk year, they usually produce pretty big. So if I'm gonna have to trade somebody in the infield, it's probably gonna be Peraza.
Yeah. Anything?
And I hate that we're in.
Go for it.
No, you first. You first.
Yeah, no. So I remember when it was brought up many times, especially on Jason's live streams about trading Torres for some pitching, and I kept going back and forth in my head because I was 50-50. So I'm like, Torres, his bat was great, especially in the second half of the season. His bat came alive. Like, he started to look like Gleyber Torres. My concern with Gleyber Torres was his defense. That was my concern with him, because there were some games where he didn't make the play that he should have made, and the team ended up losing as a result of it. Like it affected the team's performance. And that alone right there, the defense alone I was just like, they need to trade him, and get something of value back. You don't just trade Glaber just to trade Glaber, right?
Right.
If you're going to trade him, you got to get some value back from him. That's something I've been saying. But right now, I think the Yankees keep him. I think they're going to let him play out his final year on his contract. But moving Peraza would make more sense to Seattle, because it's less money, more controllable years.
Mhm.
That would be more attractive to a team like Seattle. So, again, I would love to see what Glaber does this year. I think him being surrounded by better bats, I think it will make him perform better too.
Absolutely.
Question for you guys about Torres, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even let's say he has the exact same year he had last year offensively, do you see the Yankees re-signing him?
I don't.
No. I see them putting that money into Soto.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Yankees
just don't
are going
think
to
he gets 25 million plus a year, and that's where he's at.
And not just that too. Like next year, the pitching in free agency is going to be a lot better too.
They're not going to go into free agency next year. They won't sign someone attached to a qualifying offer next year, because that following class, they have the number one IFA kid locked up for almost $6 million. So if they sign somebody attached to a qualifying offer, they lose $1 million, and he will go somewhere else. And you don't want Wandy Asijan going somewhere else.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But to get to Jason's comment, any trade the Yanks would make would likely be multiplayers for one player, which would help them get back under the 40-man on the roster. He's absolutely 100% correct on that. The other thing he posted on this was true. If they ride with Peraza, they have to give him a whole year, knowing his bat would not be as strong as Torres, but the controllable years is attractive for a team like Seattle. Again, he's absolutely correct about that. And then
Absolutely.
Rob states, I think they're willing to hold on to him for the year, get the pick compensation back for him. His bat is too valuable right now, and they have a few options to replace him in 2025. Absolutely. 100% on that. And then Jason also puts that they've got a ton of depth, so they won't need to re-sign Torres. And yes, that is true, because we have Roderick Arias. And I know, Dane, you are very high on Roderick Arias.
I am very high on Arias and George Lombard.
So we do have depth coming up. It's not like they're blocked completely. And that goes to the next point, which is Spencer Jones. And that is, we cannot afford to trade Spencer Jones at all. Spencer Jones, you have to keep, because let's just say for some odd reason Soto does end up walking. Now you've got your safety net in Spencer Jones. Now let's say you do re-sign Soto, which I honestly think they will. You can have an outfield of Soto, Dominguez, and Spencer Jones. And who better to be a mentor to both of them than Juan Soto?
Jacob, I do, probably. I don't remember my dreams, but maybe I do.
Dane, you make a good point about the qualifying offer next year, and that actually, in my opinion, makes it more likely that they do re-sign Torres, because they won't have to, look at the qualifying offer. They won't lose out on Asijan if they re-sign him. So I still don't think they'll actually re-sign him, but that is one argument in favor of it. As far as Peraza goes, I'd really hate to see him go too, because DJ LeMahieu is great. I love him. He's one of my favorite players, but he is injury prone. And who's going to play third base if and when he goes down? I don't think he can be an everyday third baseman all season. So, you do need Peraza. Next season, you definitely need Peraza. And otherwise, you're going to have to find a replacement. And I don't know if they can do that on the trade market or in the free agent market, especially if they're not going to sign someone with a qualifying offer. So Peraza is important for the future too. There's really no ideal player to trade that Seattle would actually want.
And I was going to mention too, I mean, they get Peraza has an extra option now too. So, I mean, he could very well start in AAA again, possibly. But Greg has a valid point though. I mean, if you trade Peraza and DJ gets hurt, then what? But I mean, Yankees are loaded with infielders. That's the thing. So I mean, Peraza adds he would be an important piece. Like if DJ gets hurt, then you can play him. But so it's tough, right? Now we're saying, okay, if we trade Peraza, then what? It's like we need pitching, but we need Peraza. So what do you do?
You have Vivas, who is already through AA. He's in AAA. He could be ready at some point next year. And you also have Jared Cerna, who is just the rookie of the year in the Mexican Winter League. And that kid is an absolute beast. He may not be the biggest guy, but he puts up big, big numbers. And he's a phenomenal defender at second base. He might be the best of both worlds with the bat and the glove between Torres and Peraza.
Was Vivas primarily shortstop, or did he play third base?
He's second and third.
Second and third. Okay, yeah.
He doesn't have much of an arm.
We're also forgetting about Oswaldo Cabrera. And, he's a decent backup option, certainly for this year. Next year, I don't know that you want to ride into the season. I guess we'll have to see what happens this year. But next year, I don't know if you want to ride into the season with Oswaldo as your starting third baseman at this point. But he's there too.
What I don't want the Yankees to do is hang on to young guys, young prospects, if they're not going to play them. I don't want it to run it. I don't want it to turn into this whole like Miguel Andujar thing over and over again. Like if you're not going to play these guys, then find a way to trade them, right? You don't want to hold on to them and then not be able to get any value back for them.
And Rob,
just like don't waste their years. Yeah.
In a perfect world, Peraza starts at third, but they've shown zero interest in trusting the kid with legit playing time. If he can be the main piece in the trade to get you a starting pitcher, you got to look into it.
Exactly.
To this next point, the Marlins have been looking to shop pretty much everybody on that roster. Luis Ariz is included in that. The only person they are not willing to is Yuri Perez. But
not true.
Really?
Not true.
Not true.
Really?
Oh, we got fill us in here, Dane. Fill us in.
I can't.
Now you got me excited. Oh, you can't? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Jeff Conine has been a good friend of mine for a long time. His older brother worked for my dad.
Okay.
And he is in the Marlins front office. And I spoke with him this morning, and they are willing to listen on Yuri Perez, but it's going to cost one big name.
I'll give Spencer Jones.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Who would you not want to give up the most?
Probably
Jason
Judge.
Dominguez.
Oh.
I would
Dominguez for Yuri Perez has been discussed.
Would y'all do that?
I would be willing to do
No.
that one in a heartbeat.
I like Yuri Perez. He's like reminds me of a young Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
Got him for 6 years.
What was that?
You got him for 6 years if they make the trade. But then again,
I know,
Dominguez for 6 years. So
Yeah.
So let me ask you
Tempting.
this. If, let's say the Yankees were to give up Torres in the deal, just for all intents and purposes, would you try to get Luis Ariz to New York to replace the bat of Torres, so that way you still have that length in that lineup?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
I
remember,
would.
that's always a possibility. We can't forget the fact that if we give up Torres, we still need someone to replace him. And who has the bat to replace him? Miami. Miami doesn't want to pay Ariz.
No. Nope.
We've already seen that. He wanted 12. They gave him 10-4. They don't want to pay him. This has been a known fact for since the arbitration period went down. So,
But
if you were able to, would you try to make a deal where you got a pitcher and Luis Ariz? And when I say a pitcher, I'm not talking Jesus Luzardo because he is too injury prone, and we have enough of those guys on this team as it is. I was thinking an Edward Cabrera, Yuri Perez, Trevor Rogers, someone that can give you length or have control and have controllable years. Would you do it?
Well, you're missing a big half of that. What's the cost?
Well, if you're going to
What's it
go
going to
Yuri,
cost us?
if you're going to,
Well, let's just take Yuri Perez out of it because that's a one-for-one deal that is being discussed. I don't think that that's going to happen, but it's been discussed. Let's just take that off the table. So if it's Cabrera, what is the cost for Cabrera and Ariz?
So you would obviously have to give them a top prospect. So Pereira would be involved in that. You could give him Peraza, because if you're going to give Torres to Seattle, you know what I'm saying? So you give Torres this, because they're not going to pay Torres. They don't want to pay Ariz, so why would they pay Torres?
They're not going to. Yeah, Torres is making
That's
$5 million more than Ariz is now. Torres has no business in that deal.
Yep. Nope. So you give him Pereira, you give him Peraza, you can give him Narvaez, who's a catcher, and Yoandres Gomez, which is exactly the line I was thinking on. Same as Jason.
If they would do it for that, of course. How could you not? But I don't think that they do anything that doesn't start with Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton for those two guys.
I was thinking
give me Yuri Perez, and then I'll gladly give them.
Yeah. If you give me Yuri Perez, then Chase Hampton is
Chase Hampton or Spencer Jones are all yours.
A requirement in the system.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give up Chase Hampton or Spencer Jones, but if they told me, hey, I got to give up one of them, I'll give up Chase Hampton. Again, I don't want to give him up, but I'd rather give him up than if that's what it's going to take.
Yep.
I think it would take both to get both Ariz and Cabrera.
Yeah.
I think it would take both to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ariz alone.
I think Ariz alone could happen for the package that was mentioned. Yeah.
For Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton?
I mean, no, how many the one Jason mentioned.
Oh,
how many,
okay.
How many years? How many years? Luis Ariz has.
I think he's got 2 years left of team control. So that gives Arias another couple of years to develop. That gives Jared Cerna a couple more years to develop and become better.
Yeah, 2 more years.
You get
so
a good contact bat in Ariz, and I think he's a switch hitter, isn't he?
No.
He's a lefty or righty?
Lefty.
He's a lefty.
So it's another lefty bat you add.
So Dave, so if you throw them two, Larissa Ariz and Cabrera, and then Perez, you said we would have to give us Spencer Jones and
no, Yuri Perez isn't going to come in that deal. He's not going to. It would be a 1-for-1 deal for Jason Dominguez and Yuri Perez. If those two just take that off the table. Forget that I said that for this conversation.
So without Perez, they want Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton.
I believe that they do. Yes, I do not know that as a fact, but
Okay, because I'm not doing that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not giving up both of them.
No, I'll take one of them. I'll give him one of them.
Yeah. And
Why
like
would
Dane
they
said, it
move
might take
one-
one of them or both of them. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say, Dane's right, though. It's going to probably have to take both of them to make that trade. I don't think he's wrong in that, but I'm not willing to give up both. If I'm the Yankees, I'm not giving up both. But Dane is right, though. It might have to take both.
Well, let's think about this for a second. You're getting Arias back, and you're getting a starting pitcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that he's going to be a starting pitcher that will slot into number 2 in the Yankees rotation, right?
Okay.
Cabrera, who's going to slot in number 2 over Cabrera?
Well, if Rodon's healthy, I'd.
If he's healthy.
Yeah, if he's healthy, he'll be a number 2. He was brought in as a number 2.
If he's healthy, then we don't need any of these guys. But
That's true.
well, no, I didn't say that. If he's healthy and he's the old Rodon, we don't need any of these guys. But so I think the fact that we're even talking about this means that none of us really think, or none of us are confident that that's going to happen. So, but I think Cabrera would slot in as a number 2 pitcher in the Yankees rotation right now. Unless Rodon is back, and then you're getting Arias as well, and then if you want to make that trade, you've got to give away something big back, right? Because you got major league caliber players that are really good, both of them. And I mean, personally, I do give up Jones and Hampton. I know it's probably not a popular opinion here, but and Dane knows I'm as big a prospect guy as anyone. I mean,
that surprises me that you said that.
Yeah, but as much as I love the prospects, I've always been willing to trade them for major league assets. So I love Jones. I love Hampton. 2 great players, but even Jones, right? Let's say they re-sign Soto. Where's he going to play? I guess DH, or they could DH Soto. But still, I mean, I think you look around at these guys and they're minor leaguers. There's an extremely high flame out rate, even among the best minor leaguers. So if you can get 2 quality major league assets for those 2 guys, I'm doing it.
It's a fair opinion, in my opinion.
That's a fair opinion.
That's a very fair.
That's a fair opinion.
And I know that Dane is a huge prospect guy. So
Actually, Greg's bigger than I am. He's the one that got me into it, so everybody can blame him.
but
Way to go, Greg. No.
See, I would do that deal with Jason said.
Yep.
I'd rather Dominguez for Perez and keep.
I'll do that.
100% in on that.
I might pull the trigger on that one too.
Yeah,
actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's probably the one guy in baseball you'd have to think real hard about giving Jason Dominguez up for.
Yeah.
Other than Juan Soto, but we already got him. So
right.
Yeah. And I like Yuri Perez, and somebody in the comments, because when I compare Yuri Perez to Pedro Martinez, somebody in the comments was saying, they said the same thing about Davy Garcia, but I'm like, this isn't the same. There's no comparison. No comparison.
What does Yuri Perez's pitch package look like?
What
does Yuri Perez's pitch package look like?
So Yuri Perez, because I've been following this kid for a while, he hits anywhere from 97 to 99, topping out at 101, with a devastating changeup that breaks away from lefties, and a disgusting slider that breaks away from righties, and a 2-seamer that has so much ride to it, it's almost damn near impossible to hit.
Okay. So let me ask you this.
He has a 2-seam like Will Warren's.
Yeah.
let me pose this question: if you guys could have Yamamoto for Dominguez straight up right now, would you do it?
No,
No,
No.
not a chance.
no.
Let them keep their fucking 325 million.
Yeah.
Well,
12 years.
This trade, and so money aside. So what about money? If Yamamoto costs the same as Perez, would you do that trade straight up?
No.
No, because he's older too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Well,
Perez is-
the only reason
Perez
I'm
is
making
1920 with stuff like Pedro Martinez. I'm not
And
doing
he's
it.
6'8".
So that's
Mhm.
exactly the point I'm making. So this guy is worth over $300 million. I don't know that I could say the same about Jason Dominguez right now. I don't know that I could say the same about him. I think you get that opportunity to trade them 1-for-1. I might have to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he's 19, 20 years old with 6 years of team control left. Who would not want that in the rotation? And Hirsch, actually, I want to bring this up because this is a very good point. Yuri is a legit number one with his stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't not make that argument.
And I would like that too, because when Cole starts diminishing, he
Mhm.
he can come up and he could replace Cole.
Yep.
Yeah. Yuri Perez is the real deal. He might have the highest ceiling of any starting pitcher in baseball.
Absolutely.
And-
I don't think there's any question about that.
I guess the only question I have is why would the Marlins want to trade him?
Because they need bats bad.
Yeah, bad, real
Mhm.
bad.
You need bats bad, and they are a dumpster fire without it. They don't have the pop that they need. Unfortunately, they don't have a catcher because they need a catcher because they got rid of Jacob Stallings, who just signed with Colorado, I think it was. They're in a world of hurt when it comes to bats. They need bats.
I think they would probably want a catcher back in that deal too. If it
Go
got
right
to the
ahead.
point where they're exchanging more names, I think that you would see a Narvaez in that deal,
That's
or
what I was
maybe
gonna
even
say.
a Augustin Ramirez. I don't know.
Would you do a Dominguez and Augustin Ramirez or Narvaez for Yuri Perez?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
You know,
no question. No
Augustin
question.
and Narvaez are inconsequential in that
Yeah.
trade. If you have to give up another marginal prospect in that trade to get Yuri Perez, that would not affect whether I do it or not. The question to me is whether you're willing to give up Dominguez or not. And personally, I think I would have to be able to do that. Especially with Jones coming up right behind him, and
Mhm.
the Yankees, everything that they've said about him in the offseason is that they're thrilled about him. They think he's going to have a monster season next year. So,
And
more to come.
That's a great point,
and-
Hirsch.
And I remember when Dane said this the last time I heard him on the stream. He's a way better center fielder than Dominguez is.
Yes, he is.
He is.
And Dane, you even said that. So
Yeah, he is. And it's not that Jason can't play center field. I don't
Yeah.
think he's a center fielder long term. Spencer Jones is Kyle Tucker with speed in center field.
he stole
He's-
43 bags, didn't he?
Yeah. He had 2 triples in the same game that were sub 11 seconds from home to third base. That's faster than Ellie De La Cruz. The only other guy that's been in that speed is Corbin Carroll. Think about that. This guy's 6'6", 6'7".
He
He's
doesn't
a
have
big man.
He's a big man. Once he gets underway, he's really fast,
Mhm.
but he is not as quick as those guys you just mentioned. So I don't think he's going to ever steal 40 bags, maybe not even 30 bags in the major leagues. But he's got speed, and he's got the speed to stick in center field. He's got the arm to stick in center field, and man, he can hit. He can put the charge into the ball. And if he has fixed that strikeout problem, that swing and miss problem that he has, then or the bad swing decision problem, I should say,
Yeah.
then he is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem for everybody else if he's fixed that strikeout or the swing decision problem.
Yeah, he's working with Aaron Judge's personal hitting coach right now.
Oh, that right
No?
there.
No, apparently no.
Oh, okay. I
No,
thought that was
that's
the thing.
Ben
Apparently not.
Rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben Rice. Okay. I mean,
Yeah, Jones has been working back at Vanderbilt.
And you're
Okay.
very high on Ben Rice, aren't you, Dane?
I'm high on Ben Rice because of the guy that's next to me. He's the one that talked me into it. So if you guys got Ben Rice questions, that's your guy, not me.
Greg, so what do you see? Where do you see Ben Rice fitting into all of this?
I think Ben Rice is going to be a utility guy. I think he can play catcher and he can play first base. He can DH for you with that bat, and I think he's a guy that with that versatility and the bat that he can swing will be on a major league club, probably capable of being on a major league club late next year. But he's in the Yankee system. He's definitely blocked at the moment. And we'll see what happens, but injuries can happen. And if they do, I'm excited to see him in the major leagues.
Do you think he can be a modern Victor Martinez?
I can't compare, a guy who hasn't reached AAA yet to Victor Martinez.
Okay.
But I'm excited about him. I'm legitimately excited about Ben Rice. The guy hits missiles. And he makes great contact. I love a good contact hitter. Dane will tell you that too. And Ben Rice is that. He makes a lot of contact and he makes a lot of hard contact.
And Greg is the most conservative guy when it comes to projections and when guys are going to get to the major leagues you will ever find. So he doesn't say that Rice is going to be that good, but you get him quietly, he'll tell you how good Rice is going to be. Sorry, Greg.
Do you project him as being a first baseman or as a catcher?
I think he'll do a little bit of both. Look, the Yankees have done a great job in their minor leagues of turning guys who were perceived as negative value catchers into above average catchers. They did it with Wells. They did it with a couple guys now. And I have no doubt if he gets the reps down there, he can probably turn into an average catcher. But I don't see him as an everyday catcher in the major leagues just because as of now, he doesn't have that defensive value. But I see him as a guy who can fill in when there's a need at catcher and can also play first base. And, let's say Rizzo comes back and he gets hurt again or something like that happens. And Rice is a guy that could fill in later in the season.
Yeah.
Now, question. Sorry. With Rice being ranked as a better defensive catcher than Wells, is that just because of the arm, in your opinion, or?
He was. I think, and I also think that the scouting community was way behind on Wells's defense. Wells's defense was way better than people were giving him credit for, even before he reached the major leagues. And then finally, when he reached the major leagues, people started giving him credit for what we already knew. So I actually don't think Rice is a better catcher than Wells at the moment. But again, that can change.
So that brings me to a question for you, Greg, about Austin Wells. Can you see him making the opening day roster for the Yankees this year? And if so, do you see him starting over Trevino?
I think absolutely he has a chance to make the major league roster, and I think he's the front runner behind Trevino, and he should make the roster. And now, will he start? I don't think he will. I think this is going to be a Jorge Posada situation with Joe Girardi, where Trevino's going to start this year, and Wells is going to be behind him as the backup, and he'll probably get some DH time if his bat is looking as good as it did last year. And then next year, I think you see Wells as starter.
Interesting.
Even
Very
if he outperforms him in spring training.
Look, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm not Aaron Boone, so I don't know what he's
True.
going to decide. But you know, I think in general, a guy like Trevino is solid. You know, he's done a lot for the Yankees, and he's a great catcher, and we know that he's a known commodity. And I think the Yankees have a tendency to go with known commodities.
True.
True.
So before we wrap up here, I just wanted to get your final thoughts on your outlook so far on the future for this team. Is it something that we don't really often hear about? But what is your outlook? Like, how do you think the future is bright for this team, or do you think they still have some work to do to get it back to where it used to be? And if you will start with you, throw it to Chris, throw it to Dane, throw it to Greg.
As far as my outlook on this team right now, it's better. You know, I'd say they're in a much better position now than they were a year ago. I think they're pretty well set up. They're missing a couple of pieces right now, but you know, even after 2024, you know, they have some people in the works. You know, they got some players coming up from the minors that hopefully they come, make it to the majors, and then we'll see who's available come next season or for free agency. Maybe they'll look into that market again, but I'm more excited about them having some young prospects coming up, as long as those guys are going to be utilized, because there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of talent there, and I just don't want it to go to waste. That's kind of my biggest worry with the Yankees right now, is that they're gonna let the young guys go to waste, and I don't want a bunch of Miguel Andujars. If they have the guys and they want them to succeed in this organization, then let the kids play. Right, as they say, let them play.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. They gave Volpe a chance. They gave Jason Dominguez a chance, and let's give some of these other guys a chance too. So let's not waste their precious years. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, the outlook of the team so far, I mean, they did what they needed to do when it comes to the lineup, getting Soto, getting Verdugo, getting Trent Grisham, signing Stroman. I mean, this is probably the deepest I've seen us in a while when it comes to infield depth, outfield depth. I mean, we still got pitchers that can come up and produce for us, like Warren, Chase Hampton. It just I don't know. It just seems like with Cashman, you just never know, because he does hug the prospects kind of too hard sometimes. And like we keep saying, like, if you're not gonna play the prospects, then trade them. Especially when they still have value, because I feel like if you bring Peraza up to the majors and then he doesn't have a spot, we're gonna bring him down back to the minors. I feel like he loses value like that, because he already had a taste of the majors already. So it's like you can't keep doing what you do with Andahar, Florial, flip-flopping. You never gave Florial a chance. And what's crazy is people keep forgetting about this. When Florial did have a little chance, he did hit over 300. So it's like you can't keep flip-flopping, because that could bring somebody's morale down. I mean, look at David Garcia. Look how good he was. Then they start him in the playoff and said, "Oh, you only pitching one inning. Let's take you out. Let's put Happen." And look what happened after that. His mindset probably said, "Oh, I'm screwed either way." So
who did they get from Florial again? Not to get off track.
Cody.
Poteet,
yeah,
or Morris.
Morris.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't want to like you could have done a lot more if you probably would have played Florial. And I'm not saying Florial could have been an all-star or something like that. But he could have been, reasonable for us. But it's just like you never giving people chances. Like NFE said, you gave Volpe a chance, you gave Dominguez a chance. I'm not saying all the prospects are gonna hit. That's not, that's never the possibility. But something, is the major. Something is bound to happen freaky.
As far as Davy Garcia goes, I spent years, and Greg will tell you this, I spent years trying to find out what happened. And what happened is he went down after that playoff appearance and worked with Pedro Martinez and changed his arm angle. Davy did that all on his own. That's why he struggled. That's why everybody
Well,
good?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody cut
Yeah.
out. I'm sorry, my bad. As far as the outlook on this team, look, you have Cole, Judge, and Soto. We've got the big pieces we need. We just need to find some other pieces to fill in around those guys. And I think that's coming up through the system. Are they a World Series championship caliber team right now? No, but I think they could be by after the deadline. So I'm extremely optimistic about this season.
So, at the beginning of last season, I already saw the writing on the wall. I did not think that this team was certainly not a championship team. I was surprised they didn't make the playoffs, but I thought they would be a first or second round elimination at the beginning of last year. Right now, if the season started today, again, like I said earlier, they are a playoff team. I will wake up on opening day this year, and I'm going to be excited about this team. I could not say that on opening day last year. So there's that. Definitely excited about this team in the short term. I think that they're still a piece or two away from being a true World Series contender. And we'll see what happens there's still a lot of offseason left. And there's, the trade deadline still. So a lot can happen that can change that. As things stand today, I don't see them as a true World Series contender. But that could change. As far as the future goes, there are still a lot of question marks for next year and the year after. But I do think that they're doing a great job with the farm system. They are just loading it up with pitchers. And they've got another round of college pitchers that I think is going to be great this year from the draft, and a couple of high school guys too that I'm excited about. And they've got some international guys that are coming up. They got guys that are in low A and high A that I think are in for a breakout this year that could reach double A by the end of the year. And I think that their pitching is going to replenish very quickly. In terms of what they lost this offseason. So the trade value is going to be there. The replacements are going to be there. And they have a lot of exciting hitting prospects as well. So I think the farm system is in great shape, even though they lost all they lost in this offseason and trades. And then the major league team is in pretty good shape too. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about it as well. I couldn't say the same thing last year or the year before that. The last few years, it's been hard to be excited about this team. But now that they've gotten some pieces like Verdugo and Soto, it makes me more excited and more optimistic about what this team is going to do next year. So I agree with Greg on that. I agree with NFE, Chris. I agree with all of you. It definitely is more optimistic. And the future for this team is also, as Greg said, very optimistic as well with how well the farm system's been built up. So, it's great. And, I'm looking forward to it. And I haven't been able to say that in quite some time. So it's nice to finally be optimistic about this team. But I want to thank Dane of NYYU, Greg of NYYU, Chris the Flash from Flash Sports, and NFE of the Strike Zone. Please go check their channels out. Please show each of their channels some love. Greg, you and Dane do the farm report.
Yeah.
We do all the writing pretty much. I mean, there's farm. We do the farm stuff, and we write some major league articles also. Whatever we're feeling.
No, I'm
Yeah.
seeing a show on NYYU though.
Yeah. So
He's going to be on the farm report this year. Yes.
Okay.
With Carlos and I.
Okay. So
Yeah.
make sure to check them out. Greg writes for NYYU. Dane does the farm report with Carlos. Check them out. Great stuff. So does Chris the Flash NFE. Also, if you haven't done so, check out 161 River Ave. You want to show them all some love. Uncle Tats, the Pinstripe Chronicles. Check them all out. They do great stuff. You can find me here on the 4 Train Express. You can also find some of my stuff on NYYU as now that I write stuff for them. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. Dane and Greg, Chris, NFE, thank you guys so much for coming out. This is the final stop on this ride. Until next time, guys, have a great rest of your night, and I will talk to you guys next time.